The Statue of Liberty, formerly known as the Liberty Enlightening the World, has stood tall as a symbol of hope for immigrants arriving in the New York harbor ever since 1886. They come seeking a better life for their families, yet, ever since the beginning, there have been laws restricting these people from coming into our country.
There have been 4 waves of immigration. Each wave was fueled by the promise of opportunity in the United States, whether it be work, religious freedom, or to seek safer conditions. Throughout these waves, many unfair and biased practices have been used to stop the flow of immigrants coming into the U.S. The Chinese Exclusion Act was passed on May 6, 1882. It barred people of Chinese descent from entering the U.S. in the 1880s. In 1892, Ellis and Angel Island opened, and immigrants were separated into 2 different groups. The English and certain Europeans were considered first tier and were allowed to enter without extensive interviews, while immigrants from Asian countries were held for many weeks and given thorough and invasive background checks. The Immigration Act of 1924 limited the number of immigrants who could enter the U.S. through nationality quotas. It favored Europeans and prohibited immigration from Asian countries through the Asiatic Barred Zone and Asian Exclusion Act. These are only a few examples of America's past immigration policies, but from them we can draw connections to our current state of immigration.
Presently, immigrants face more and more difficulty in the process of immigration, as well as being heavily stigmatized based on their race, religion, or countries of origin. On January 25, 2017, U.S. President Donald Trump signed Executive Order 13768 to punish sanctuary cities. He also signed Executive Order 13767, which called for the immediate construction of a border wall between the U.S. and Mexico. In 2018, on January 11th, Trump said, "Why are we having all these people from S-hole countries come here? Why do we have all these Haitians? Take them out." The generalization and bullying of different immigrant groups expressed by our president reflect on the current conditions immigrants face. Trump has also created an influx of border detainment along the southern border. In these detainment camps, immigrants are separated from their families for uncertain amounts of time. They are held in unsafe conditions comparable to the Japanese internment camps of World War II. Spaces lacking necessary supplies, and sometimes they aren't even given beds. How can a country built on immigrants, populated by the descendants of immigrants, prevent others from immigrating to the United States? The answer is simple: stigmas surrounding immigrants.
What is the biggest stigma that you've seen around immigrants such as yourself?
Typically, it is economic, such as, they are here to take away my job.
Chinese immigrants came to the U.S. in the 1850s for better economic opportunities. These immigrants were accused of taking away manual labor jobs that nobody had previously wanted from potential white applicants, who Americans thought deserved the jobs more. This promptly led to the establishment of the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882, which barred anybody of Chinese descent from entering the U.S. You may think the argument that immigrants are bad for our economy is not believed anymore. However, you would be wrong.
Major concern with immigration is the impact it has on the U.S. economy. So does an increase in immigrants coming to the U.S. negatively affect the economy?
So what most of the studies have shown are that when immigrants come into our economy, that they actually benefit the economy. And a lot of the studies show at different skill levels as well. And so I specialize right now in sort of the high-tech environment. And what we show in the studies that we see are that high-tech workers bring in a lot of the innovation that we need. There are lots of ideas sparked, and then fundamentally they lead to bringing in that talent brings in additional jobs and additional innovation to the American economy. So there are a lot of studies available, but most of them do show that bringing in additional labor into the United States actually is helpful to the economy.
This, in fact, is a stigma. Immigrants actually add to our economy. According to statistics from the Economic Policy Institution, EPI, immigrants make up 13% of the total U.S. population. However, they actually contribute 14.7% of the U.S. economic output. In an article published by EPI, it is mentioned that there is a broad agreement among academic economists that in the long run, immigration has a small but positive impact on the labor market outcomes of native born workers on average.
Though these experts suggest that the United States could benefit enormously from an immigration system that is more responsive to broader economic conditions. In our current immigration system, legal immigrant flows are essentially unresponsive to the business cycle. In particular, Congress has set a yearly limit on the number of new permanent and temporary immigrants who may enter the country legally in order to work, and these limits do not fluctuate based on the state of the labor market. The most serious concern about immigration today is the fear that immigrants are bringing crime and terror to the new country.
These concerns stem from cultural differences as well as cultural stigmas or misconceptions. What is the biggest stigma that you have seen that surrounds immigrants in this country?
Stigma. Maybe there are some cultural stigmas, like, you take some time initially when you come here to get used to the way of life here. There is some barrier there, I guess.
Cultural differences are what caused the Muslim ban. The executive order that was meant to protect our country from foreign terrorist entry has gone too far and disrupted the lives of many hardworking Muslims living in the United States.
I do not know what crime my family and I are being sentenced and punished. I just want to see my family again. We are not terrorists. This ban is forcing me to choose between my family and the life I've tried to build here. Which part of this ban is securing Americans? Keeping out a musician?
Stigmas influence past and present laws and treatment of immigrants. Societal misconceptions have led to stereotypes and prejudice. Past laws such as the Chinese Exclusion Act and present laws such as the Muslim ban have been based off stigmas. Locally treat immigrant families like you would treat any family. Accept them into the community. Understand that there will be differences because of different cultural backgrounds.
The final verdict?
The way things are being handled, like there could have been more touch of humanity in the way things are handled.